I'm George McAdam III, keen, calculating, acute, and astute. My brain is as powerful as a dynamo, as precise as chemist scales, as penetrating as a scalpel. And think of it, I'm only 18. It is not often that one so young has such a giant intellect. Take, for example, P.D. Budge, my roommate at the University of Minnesota. Same age, same background, but dumb as an ox. A nice enough fellow, you know, but nothing upstairs. Emotional type, unstable, impressionable. Worst of all, a faddist. Fads and fashion, I believe, are the very negation of reason. To be swept up by every new craze that comes along, to surrender yourself to idiocy, just because everybody else is doing it. This, to me, is the acme of mindlessness. Not, however, to P.D. One afternoon I found him.
Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, God.
Appendicitis for sure. Don't move and don't take a laxative. I'll call the doctor.
Raccoon. Raccoon.
Raccoon?
I need a raccoon coat.
This really sounds serious. Why do you want a raccoon coat?
All the in people are wearing them. Where have you been?
At the school library. We don't see many in people there.
I've got to get a raccoon coat. I've got to.
P.D., why? Look at it logically. Raccoon coats are unsanitary, they shed, they smell bad, they weigh too much. They make you look like a heap of dead animals. They even
You don't understand. It's the thing to do. I mean, don't you want to be in style?
No.
Well, I do. And I'd give anything for a raccoon coat. Anything.
It so happened that I knew where to get my hands on a raccoon coat. My father, George McAdam II, had been lying in the attic since his undergraduate days. And it so happened that P.D. had something I wanted. Well, he didn't have it exactly, but at least he had first rights on it. This girl, Fallacy. I had long coveted Polly, but please, let me emphasize that my desire for this young lady was not emotional in nature. She was, to be sure, a girl who excited the emotions, but I was not one to let my heart rule my head. I wanted Polly for a coolly calculated, entirely cerebral reason. I would soon be a successful lawyer, and I was well aware of the importance of the right kind of wife in furthering a lawyer's career. The successful lawyers I have observed were, almost without exception, married to beautiful, gracious, intelligent women. With one omission, Polly fitted these specifications perfectly. Beautiful, she was. Gracious, she was. A posture that clearly indicated the best of breeding. At table, her manners were exquisite. She could even eat a Big Mac without getting her fingers moist. Intelligent she was not. In fact, she veered in the opposite direction. But I believe that under my guidance, she would smarten up. At any rate, it was worth a try. I mean, after all, it's easier to make a beautiful, dumb girl smart than to make an ugly, smart girl beautiful. P.D., are you in love with Fallacy?
Oh, I think she's pretty cool, but I don't know if you call it love. Why?
Do you have any kind of formal arrangement with her? I mean, are you going steady or anything like that?
No. We see each other quite a bit, but we both have other dates. Why?
Is there any other man for whom she has a particular fondness?
Not that I know of. Why?
In other words, if you were out of the picture, the field would be open, is that right?
I guess so. George, what are you getting at?
Nothing, nothing.
Hey, where are you going?
Home for the weekend.
Listen. You don't suppose that while you're there, you don't suppose you could get me some money, I mean, from your old man, and lend it to me so I could get a raccoon coat?
I may do better than that. Try not to miss me too much.
Don't worry. I'll survive. I can almost see it now. Can't you? Picture it, me, walking down the street, in my raccoon coat. I will be so cool. With a little bit of George's help, it's gonna be so easy. That guy, he's always doing little things for me. I surely do have a good friend in George McAdams.
P.T.
Oh, man! Oh, let me see. You got a raccoon coat. Oh, man.
Would you like it?
What do you want for it?
Your girl.
Polly? You want Polly?
Exactly.
Never!
Okay. If you don't want to be in style. I guess that's your own business.
Well, actually, we're not going steady or anything. I haven't made any promises.
That's right.
I mean, what's Polly to me? Or me to Polly?
Not a thing.
It's just been a casual kick. I mean, just a few laughs.
Try on the coat.
Fits fine.
So, is it a deal?
It's a deal.
I decided to have my first date with Polly the following evening. I wanted to know how much work I had to do to get her mind up to the standard I required. So first, to dinner.
Gee, what a delish dinner!
Next, to the cinema.
Oh, gee, what a Marvy movie!
Well, Polly, I think it's time to take you home.
Oh, gee, I had a sensation time!
I had greatly underestimated the size of my task. This girl simply had a lot to prove it. I wanted to do some work in her and try to make her how to think. Polly. Polly. She's not ready. Polly.
Howdy, Georgie.
Tonight we're going to the park and talk.
Ooh, terrific! What are we going to talk about?
Logic.
Magnif!
Logic is the science of thinking. Before we can think correctly, we must first learn to recognize the common fallacies of logic. This we will take up tonight.
Ooh, Wow,
First, let us examine the fallacy called dicta simpliciter.
Oh, by all means.
Dicta simpliciter is an argument based on an unqualified generalization. For example, exercise is good. Therefore, everybody should exercise.
Oh, I agree. I mean, exercise is wonderful. I mean, it builds up the body and everything.
Polly, it's a fallacy. Exercise is good is an unqualified generalization. For example, look, many people are ordered by the doctors not to exercise. You must learn to qualify the generalization. You must say that exercise is good. Or exercise is good for most people. Otherwise, you have committed the dicta simpliciter. Do you see?
No, but this is Marvy. Do more. Do more.
Better if you stop tugging at my sleeve. Next comes the fallacy called hasty generalization.
Okay.
Listen to this. You can't speak French. I can't speak French. And Petey Pudge can't speak French.
No.
I must therefore conclude that nobody at the University of Minnesota can speak French.
Really? Nobody?
Polly, the argument is reached too hastily. There are too few instances to support such a conclusion.
Do you know any more fallacies? This is more fun than dancing, even.
Next comes post hoc. Listen carefully. Let's not take Willem to our picnic. Every time we take Willem along, it rains.
Oh, you know, I know somebody just like that. A girl back home, Lizzie Bander. That's her name. It never fails. Every time we take her on a picnic, it rains.
Polly, Lizzie Bander does not cause the rain. You are guilty of post hoc if you blame Lizzie Bander.
I'm sorry. I'll never do it again. Georgie, are you mad at me?
No, Polly, I'm not mad.
Oh, then tell me some more fallacies.
All right. Let's try contradictory premises.
Yes, let's.
Here's an example of contradictory premises. If God can do anything, can he make a stone so heavy that he won't be able to lift it?
Of course.
But if he can do anything, he can lift the stone.
Yes. Well then, I guess he can't make the stone.
But he can do anything.
I'm all confused.
Of course you are, my dear, because the premises of an argument contradict each other. There can be no argument. If there's a resistible force, there can be no movable object. If there's no movable object, there can be no resistible force. Get it?
Tell me some more of this king stuff.
I think we'd better call it a night. I'll take you home now. You go over all the things you have learned. We'll have another session tomorrow night. I'll return to
George!
Yes, Polly?
This has been a terrific evening.
I returned to my dorm, and there he was.
Very cool. Very cool.
I thought of waking him up and telling him he could have his girl back. It seemed that my project was doomed to failure. This girl simply had a logic-proof head. On the other hand, I had wasted one evening. I might as well waste another. Who knows? Maybe somewhere in the extant creator of her mind, a few embers still smolder, and maybe somehow I could fan them into flame. Anyway, what difference does it make? What choice have I got? Good evening, Polly.
Howdy, Georgie. Will you do some more fallacies for me?
The first fallacy tonight is called ad misericordia.
Ooh.
A man applies for a job. The boss asks him what his qualifications are. He replies he has a wife and 6 children at home. The wife is a helpless cripple. The children have nothing to eat. No clothes to wear. No shoes on their feet. There are no beds in the house. No heating. And the cruelest winter in years is coming. And on top of it all, the man has the...
Georgie! This is awful! Awful!
Yes, it is awful, but it's not an argument. The man never answers the boss's question about his qualifications. Instead, he appeals for the boss's sympathy. He has committed the fallacy called ad misericordiam. Do you see?
Do you have your handkerchief? Thank you.
Next comes false analogy. Listen to this. Students should be allowed to look at their textbooks during an examination. After all, surgeons have x-rays to guide them during an operation. Lawyers have briefs and notes to guide them during a trial. And carpenters and architects have blueprints to guide them while they're building a house. Why then shouldn't students be allowed to look at their textbooks during an examination?
There now! I think that's the most marmy idea I've heard in years! I think you should tell Mr. Harry, the dean, you've got him now! He has to let us use our textbooks!
Polly, the argument is all wrong. Lawyers, doctors, architects, and carpenters aren't taking a test to see how much they have learned. Students are. The situations are altogether different, and you can't compare them. You can't make an analogy between them.
I still think it's a good idea.
Nuts! Next we'll try hypothesis contrary to fact.
Sounds yummy.
Listen, if it weren't for your literature teacher, you would have never studied poetry.
Oh, true. Did you watch the Dead Poets Society? Robin Williams is a genius. Oh, he made me cry.
If you can forget about Robin Williams for a moment, I would like to point out that the statement is a fallacy. Maybe you, who have learned poetry at some later date, maybe somebody would have written you a love poem. Maybe any number of things could have happened. You can't start a hypothesis that is not true and then draw any conclusions from it.
I think they should put Robin Williams in more pictures. He's so terribly funny. Do you remember Mork and Mindy? Humor, Nadu.
One more.
Oh, wait, remember this one? Good morning, Vietnam!
One more chance, but just one more. Next comes poisoning the well.
How cute.
2 men are having a debate. Yeah, 2 men. The first one gets up and says, "My opponent is a notorious liar. You can't believe a word of what he is going to say." Now, Polly, think. Think hard. What's wrong?
Why? It's not fair! It's not a bit fair! What chance has the second man got if the first man calls him a liar before he begins talking even?
Right! 100% right. It's not fair. The first man has poisoned the well before anybody could drink from it. He has murdered his opponent. Stop. Polly, I'm so proud of you. You see, my dear, things aren't so hard. All you have to do is think.
Think.
Examine. Concentrate. And evaluate.
Evaluate.
Come now, let's review everything we have learned.
Oh, okay. Fire away!
Let's start at the very beginning. I think it's a very good place to start. Haunted by the fact that Polly was not a complete crétin, I began a long, patient review of everything I had told her, over and over and over again. I cited examples, pointed out errors. It was like digging a tunnel. At first, everything was work, sweat, and darkness. I had no idea when I would reach the light, or even if I would. But I persisted, and finally, I was rewarded. I saw just a chink of light, and then the chink grew bigger and bigger, and the sun came pouring in, and all was bright. 5 nights of hard work it took me, but it was worth it. I had made a logician out of Polly. I had taught her how to think. My job was done. She was a fit wife for me, a perfect hostess for my many mansions, and a suitable mother for my well-heeled children. It's not to be thought that I was without love for this girl. Quite on the contrary. Just as Pygmalion loved the perfect woman he had fashioned, so I loved mine. I decided I was going to inform her of my feelings on our very next meeting. Time had come to change from academic to romantic. Polly, tonight we're not going to discuss fallacies.
Aw, Jay.
My dear, we have now spent 5 evenings together. You have got along splendidly. It's clear we're well matched.
Hasty generalization.
I beg your pardon?
Hasty generalization. How can you say that we're well matched on the basis of just 5 dates?
My dear, 5 dates is plenty. After all, you don't have to eat the whole cake to know it's good.
False analogy. I'm not a cake. I'm a girl.
Polly? Polly? I love you. You are the whole world to me. And the moon, and the stars, and the constellations from outer space. Please, please, please. Say that you will go steady with me. For you won't. Life will be meaningless. I will refuse all my meals. I will wander the face of earth. I live in the corpse.
And misericordium.
Well, Polly, you have certainly learned your fallacies.
You're darn right.
And who taught them to you, Polly?
You did?
That's right. So you do owe me something, don't you, my dear? If I hadn't come along, you would have never learned fallacies.
Hypothesis contrary to fact. Maybe somebody else would have taught me. Maybe any number of things might have happened. Why, maybe I myself would have...
My dear, this is just classroom stuff. The things you see in school have nothing to do with real life.
Sometimes the things you see in school do have something to do with real life. Dicto simpliciter.
Will you or will you not go steady with me?
I will not.
Why not?
Because just this afternoon, I told Petey Birch that I would go steady with him.
The rat? You can't go steady with him, Polly. He's a rat, he's a traitor, he's a cheat, and he has...
You are poisoning a well. And stop shouting. I think shouting must be a fallacy, too.
All right. You're a logician.
Yeah.
Let's look at things logically.
Okay.
How could you ever choose P.T. Birch over me? Look at me, a brilliant student, a tremendous intellect, a man with an assured future. And now look, Petey Budge. A knothead, a fattest, slave to all fashions, a man who will never know where his next meal is coming from. Can you please give me just one logical reason why you should go steady with Petey Budge?
I certainly can. He's got a raccoon coat.